Hello, this is Yaakov Kronenberg from Jerusalem, and tonight another class in the series of classes on Aries ascendant and Mars and the different signs. Tonight we'll start with Mars in Leo. Mars in Leo with an Aries ascendant is actually an excellent combination because it's combining the same elements. Aries on the ascendant. Aries is, like we always say, it's a fire sign. A lot of initiative, drive. Wants to be number one. The power principle. Wants to be a leader. Right? And Mars in Leo, that goes well with it. Mars in Leo. Leo is the king. Right? And so people have Mars in Leo, it's a double fire. Double fire. You have the ascendant fire and Mars in a fire sign. So it goes well together, and it's in an excellent house. The fifth house is the house of children, the house of the theater, the house of the arts, the house of rulership, politics. It's connected with investment. Investing is from there, and acting, sports, all types of entertainment. And so a person who has Mars in Leo has a natural ability in one of these fields, maybe all of them. Again, you have to narrow it down depending on certain factors. Mars and Leo actually in the fifth house with an Aries ascending is an inclination to, on one hand, to politics, because Leo is the king. And so a person who has Mars and Leo in the fifth, they want to be a ruler. And so there's ability to go into politics. Also, it's in Leo, it's excellent for acting. Leos love to be in the spotlight. They love to be number one. So you have a Mars in the fifth house in Leo. There's an inclination towards acting, and politics basically is a form of acting, right? It's all, it's a bluff. What do they say? Politics is for people who aren't attractive enough to be in the movies, right? So they get into politics. And so the house is good for both of those. And also Aries, Leo loves to be in the spotlight. So you get a Mars in Leo there, loves to be in the spotlight. And again, with Mars and Leo also could be sports, right? Again, you have to see what planets Mars is connected to. Right, if Mars is, say, in a tight aspect, conjunction or square, opposition to Venus, then the fulcrum of his desires are going to be more towards the artistic, towards the romantic, because it's a conjunction there of Mars trying to get to Venus, right? It's the Mars-Venus square. So it's good for children, actually. It's good for children. It's good for the artistic side of things. It's an excellent application for children. If it's children, there's going to be a lot of boys, all other things not considered, because Mars is a masculine sign. So always if you see masculine planets in the fifth house, there's going to be an inclination towards more boys than girls. And so you see that here. And then if you see there's also, say, a Neptunian aspect also besides the Venus, then it's going to be more creative, more, it's going to give even a more inclination towards the theater and things like that, as opposed to sports or investments. Neptune likes the ethereal, it likes the playing, acting, making things up. It's not so good for, hard stuff like investment and sport. Right, but if you see Mars with a Jupiter aspect, then it's going to be more interested, say, in sports or in investment. Jupiter is money. Mars there, they could be, a speculator. It's a little difficult. Mars in the fifth can be sometimes difficult for speculation, even though it's a good aspect. It's drawing to the ascendant. Just the nature of Mars is hot, and they don't know how to stop. They don't know how to control themselves. If they have a Saturn aspect to the Mars that can bring the Saturn under control, or the Mars under control, it might be good for, like an investor and something like that. But somebody who's got a Mars that's just too hot, like Mars in Leo, and then it's excited by something like Uranus, an aspect with Uranus. They could be God forbid, they could be like addicted to gambling or something like that, and they don't have the ability to hold back, to stop themselves. So everything needs to be considered in relation to the aspects to the ruler of the chart. Right? Especially you want to pay attention to the Sun, because the Sun is the dispositor of Mars and Leo. And another point here to make is also it's excellent for children, right? Especially the first child. If you look at it, the first child is going to be very aggressive type, right? With Mars on his ascendant, or as you judge the first child from the 5th house. And so the ruler of the 5th house will be Leo, and you'll have Mars there on the ascendant, so it's going to be a very aggressive, very willful type. A person wants to be a leader with the Mars there in Leo, right? He's going to want to stand out, he's going to want to be the center of attention, all things like that. And the Mars, it comes from the 1st house, Aries. Your 1st house, Aries, is the boy's, the first child's 9th house, right? If you count from the 5th to the 1st, you get the 9 houses, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 1. The 1st house becomes the 9th. So it comes out that the first boy has the ruler of his 9th on the 1st house cusp, which means the 9th house rules higher education, it rules higher secret knowledge, it rules, like religion, philosophy, and anybody who has the ruler of the 9th on the 1st, they get higher knowledge. So he's going to have the ability to be very, very good in learning, and he could go in a very spiritual direction. I've seen a lot of rabbis who had this combination. Very, very excellent combination. Very excellent for first child. Because you have the Mars there coming from the 9th, and 9th is the best house, right, in a certain way. It's also good for travel, it's good for law, good for but especially for higher knowledge, it's excellent. And again, you have to look at the combinations with that Mars in relation to your first child, right? If you have the Mars conjunct Neptune, so it'll add a lot. For example, the spirituality will take the forefront there, right? Because Mars is Mars together with the ethereal Piscean that wants to dissolve, right? He's going to use his powers to get to dissolution. Right, to get to a higher spiritual level, so to speak, to disattach himself from the body. That could be the Mars Pisces. Mars in a conjunction, say, with Jupiter, with Mars ruling the 9th and the 1st, there would be somebody who argues for religion, religious fanatic on one hand. Jupiter rules religion in a tight aspect to Mars. It could be religious fanaticism. It could be a person who tries to bring people to his religion, to convert people. It could be a person who likes to argue, debater. Right? All sorts of things in that area. A person who's very, very strong in his beliefs and defends them. All of that if there's a Mars-Jupiter aspect. So everything has to be looked at in terms of the combinations and the possibilities. And I thank everybody for listening tonight.